Hey everyone, it's Eternal back here with some Raid Shadow Legends. I know I've not posted in a while. I've been quite ill, and I'm still a bit ill as you can probably hear. But we got some new legendaries, so something worth talking about. And we've also got a fusion going on too, which I'll brush over quickly. I'm just going to quickly go over the legendaries because I think they're the most important ones. And I'll touch on the epics. I'm not really interested in these rares. Honestly, they're more fusion material. Nothing too fantastic, so I'm not going to waste my time on those. Let us start off with the epics. So first we have Snorting Thug. I've looked over him earlier. He's not particularly fantastic. So he can steal a buff on his A1. He can ignore defense on his A2, so that could be quite a hard-hitting ability potentially. And again, has a chance to remove a buff from the attacker when hit, and can counterattack the attacker. Now this occurs once per turn, so he's more of a single target. So I don't really like this guy. I think he is A, ugly as hell, and B, not very good. So not a big fan of him personally. He's HP based, and his damage is based off HP, but you know, nothing to write home about. Next off we have, let me get this right, Demonspawn? Yeah, got it in one. Umbral Enchantress. Now she's kind of rocking a lighter Paidma model, but this girl I think could be pretty great. So defense based, and she's void. Attacks one enemy. Damage is proportional to this champion's HP. So you're going to, I'm guessing the more HP she has, the more damage she does, or the lower. I don't really know. It doesn't really say. So proportional to champion's current HP. It's probably off. So probably the higher the HP, the better, I guess. And it's defense based, which is fantastic. So she is defense and HP orientated. Attack all enemies, has an 80% chance to place a block, buffs, debuff for 3 turns. So you can get that to 100%, so that's pretty strong. Again, don't know how hard it hits, will kind of depend. These are all based off defense, so that's fantastic. Now this is the big one. This is the skill that I think is amazing, potentially. Attack all enemies, has a 80% chance, 100% when booked, placing a provoke debuff for 2 turns. Then she places an unkillable buff on herself for 2 turns, and she also then blocks cooldown skill. So she places this on like a true 5-turn cooldown. You can't have the cooldown reduced. So it's an interesting one. So it can't be resisted or blocked and cannot be removed. So they're trying to go, you're going to put this on a 5-turn cooldown, whatever happens. Now, I think the way to work around that would be to have her die. Now, you might be like, well, what? But it's true. I think if she dies, then this block cooldown isn't going to be an issue. So with the unkillable, you'll probably have her tanking the hits. She's probably going to be pretty tanky because she's defense based. So don't really know how that'll work out, but I think she's a really interesting character. And with a 2-turn provoke, that's really strong. So I'm going to brush over the legendaries now. We've got 5 new legendaries. So I'll start off with Duchess Lilitu. Now, she reminds me of Lilith from Diablo 4 that has been announced. Lilitu? Lilith, you know, and I just think there's some similarities there. But let's look at her kit. So Abyssal Invocations are A1. So attacks one enemy 2 times, then places a shield buff equal to 10% of this champion's max HP, for 2 turns on this champion and the ally of the lowest HP. So she's placing a shield equal to max HP, which is great. That's really great. So you want to be building her for defense and HP, and her speed's pretty good also, so it's nice. And her attack is based off defense. Next up is her A2, Shred of Souls. So you place an increased attack and block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns, and she places a perfect veil buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Now it's on a 4-turn when booked, really strong, only needs 1 book. I like it. Spectral Rebirth, revive all dead allies with 70% HP. That's strong in itself, but not only that, she then places a veil buff on all allies except this champion for 1 turn, and places a continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. So she's reviving them, and then I'm assuming she veils them, and then she's also putting a continuous heal on them. So they're getting back up to 100% in 2 turns because of the 50% continuous heal. And yeah, no, I think she's really, really strong so far, right? Ethereal Ways. This is the big one, okay? Decreases the damage taken by all allies from AoE attacks by 25% and 15% from bosses. And this goes up to 40% AoE attacks if an ally is under a Veil buff, and 25% from bosses. That's nuts. And I'm presuming the Veil works with... It will work with Spectral Rebirth, but I am also presuming this Perfect Veil here procs it. I may be incorrect there, because it does just say a Veil buff, but I'm hoping it's Perfect Veil and Veil. So yeah, she is going to be buffing her allies and reducing damage that they take. She is able to revive them, and honestly, she's just nuts. So if you're booking her, you probably don't want to worry too much about her A1. Whilst it is really strong, I would be looking to get the cooldown on the A2 and A3. And her aura is a 90% speed in all battles. So she is going to be fantastic in dungeons. She's going to be fantastic also in clan boss. I think she's quite comparable, although possibly better than Blind Seer. So I think she has similarities with the AoE revive, but then she's veiling them, continuous heal, reducing damage and speed. So she is different. But I think she's fantastic. I'm kind of excited. Would be interesting to try her. I do already have a Blind Seer, but the role, it's slightly different. She is placing a shield, but I like her. I think she's cool. Then the other demon we have is Tyrant. Let me try and say this. Ixlimor, I'm guessing. He's a reskin of Kaimal. And we're going to look at his abilities. He's magic based and HP. Good speed, nice defense, fantastic. HP's okay, attacks kind of whatever. But he's defense based in terms of abilities, so which is really strong. Because he's a HP, and if they went HP and then based off attack, isn't so great. Attack one enemy, heals this champion by 25% of the damage inflicted, and that's 50% if the target has a HP burn. So, he's got a built-in A1 heal. Now, we've got another legendary AoE HP burn character. So, anyone struggling on Spider, if you pull this guy, he's probably going to help you out. He's magic based, and Spider is Spirit on 20. And then it's Hellfire Torment as the burn. So, attack all enemies, has a 100% chance when booked, chance of placing a HP burn, debuff on all enemies for 3 turns. And you can get that onto a 3-turn cooldown. So it's a 3-turn HP burn with a 3-turn cooldown. Places a 50% ally protection buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. And then he places an increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. He's really solid. He's buffing, he's ally protecting, he's got an AoE HP burn. And then for those that he does manage to HP burn, he reduces their damage inflicted by 10%. So that's really strong, and I think he'll be fantastic in Spider. Really, really strong there, actually. One thing I do not really agree with is his aura. It's 25%, which is less than Jareg. Now, I think Jareg's a great champion, and I don't really want them to mess with his aura. I mean, they could potentially swap and give him a 25% and a Tyrant a 33 to bring it in line, but it just seems weird that they're giving legendaries an all HP aura that's worse than an epic. I don't really agree with that, so I think that's a little bit kind of odd. Right, so we've covered the ones in Demon Spawn. We're going to move on to the Dark Elves, I believe, and we have this very lazy Blind Seer skin. So she looks a lot like Blind Seer. Looks like she's literally, put some of the clothes on and has gone, yo, I'm here. What I also noticed was her A1 icon is actually Visions of Death, kind of flipped upside down, and yeah, they've been a little bit lazy on that one. It's whatever. But okay, let's get into her. She's a magic-based champion, and she's got really nice speed. So, A1 places a continuous buff on this champion if the attack is critical. So if you want that continuous heal to land, you're going to need to get her crit rate up. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. She's a support champion and attack based on her A1. The other two are, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, Companions of Fate. This is amazing. It's comparable to Longbeard, but arguably better. Now the reason being, teams up with 3 random allies to attack a single enemy. The allies joining the attack will use their default skills. Okay, cool. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 30%. That's nice. That's really nice. And not only that, but she increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. You can increase the duration of your counter attack, your unkillable. It says all ally buffs, so you know that's how I'm taking it. All buffs, all ally buffs, which is amazing. So yeah, that's kind of cool. And then she can increase crit and attack on all allies for 2 turns. Has a 25% chance of granting an extra turn. That goes up to 50 if you book her. So wow, that's, yeah, so I think she's going to be an interesting one. I think she is usable. She might be a little bit squishy for clan boss, so you might want to be building her. It's only a single attack as well. So how you will build her, I'm not completely sure. I think she's going to be really strong in dungeons for wave clearing, and even on bosses that's, you know, strong. You might want to run a relentless set on her to get the cooldown of this even lower, but you know, see how it goes really. Being unable to try her, you can only theory craft really. Right, next up we have Suzerain Katon, which is, you know, a Japanese name, Suzerain. I do believe he actually looks like he's gutted himself, so that's beautiful. But let's look through his abilities. So he's spirit based and attack. Now the interesting thing about him is on his A1. Well, the interesting thing he is completely AOE based, which is really strong. So I don't know how hard he will hit, but the fact that we'll go through his kit and see what he's bringing to the fight, right? So decrease speed on his A1. Wow, that's great. Attack all enemies. This one's kind of weird. I wish the decreased defense and the weaken were actually switched. So he has a 50% chance of placing the weaken, and if he for 2 turns, and if he doesn't place the weaken, he places the decreased defense. Now I would rather him place the decreased defense, and then if he doesn't place that, place the weaken, because decreased defense is arguably stronger. Because for defense characters, you're dropping their damage as well as their armor, their defense, which is fantastic. And the weaken doesn't do that, so you're not ever reducing damage, whereas the decreased defense can in some situations. Now this ability, banish from time, literally just away with you. Remove shield, block damage, and unkillable buffs from all enemies, then attacks them. What? So for everyone that's like, you know, oh, I want something that you've got it. This removes everything and then attacks. So yeah, and places a heal reduction debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. This effect cannot be resisted. That's really strong. He's going to be so good in arena. I don't know how he would get on elsewhere. Maybe wave clearing he has some potential, but I think arena is where he's going to shine. His speed is below 100, his attack is solid, so I think he's going to be a bit of an arena cleanup, or maybe even an arena nuker if he hits really hard. And now we have the last guy. I've looked over this guy briefly, and let me just say, in terms of quality of champion, I think he's very comparable to Dracomorph. So if you pull this guy, you know, congratulations. His name is Cristy Ageless. I think he looks pretty cool. He's got some metal spikes attached to his shell and some metal armor. I think he's looking pretty cool already. Speed is kind of low, defense is good though, and he is defense based, so that's okay. Now, enter the Morass. His A1 attacks all enemies, and he can. This guy as well can reduce speed, so you can hit everyone and reduce their speed. It's a 30% chance, but if you book it, it goes up to 50. So roughly half the time, it's going to be reducing speed of all enemies, which I think is really strong. Century Viger. Attack all enemies. Place a 50% ally protect buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns, and then place 2 50% continuous heal buffs on this champion for 1 turn. Increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. What? What? You can get that to a 3 turn. Now he's a little bit book intensive. I believe that's 9, 10, 11 books. But oh my god, is he worth it. You can get this onto a 3 turn cooldown, so you can be increasing ally buffs, counter attack, increase defense, ally protect, increase attack, increase speed. It's a really strong ability, increasing the duration of buffs. Yeah, that's amazing. Invincible Shell. Places a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Place a 60% increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns. And increase speed buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. So he's turtling up, he's boosting his allies' speed, he's increasing his own defense, and he's provoking everybody. He's placing a provoke. There's no chance he places that. You can get this onto a 3 turn cooldown. He's going to be nuts in dungeons. He's going to be nuts in PvP. I mean, and then look at his passive. Like, look at this. At the start of each round, place a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns equal to 50% if this champion's max HP. Really strong. Has a 100% chance when booked of placing a decreased defense and decreased attack on the attacker for 1 turn when hit. So I lied. He is quite book intensive there, right? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oof. So he takes a lot of books. Like a lot of books. But I think he's worth it. Even then, like, he's a strong character. I'd love to pull this guy. Unfortunately, I'm kind of holding off on shards at the moment. Just not really purchasing them. So, but if you are, and you pull this guy, big grats, he's amazing. So, I'm not going to cover the rares because I think they're just mainly fusion. I don't think there's anything too fantastic. There's some uncommons and they added a common. So that's about it. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was useful to you. And let me know if you've pulled any of these and you've tried them out and you've enjoyed them. Or if I'm perhaps sleeping on one of the rares or anything like that. I think there's one that's like a budget clan boss early game character. But yeah, apart from that, that's me out. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!